Jeremiah, just so you know, and Kyle sent me that info. I'll usually send it over to Dustin and Steph and Krasky and just make sure everybody's in the loop. Like we had the pottery wheel situation where then that came up and Dustin jumped on that Krasky and was like, hey, you know, like to take advantage of that at the high school. And then I know since then there's been some shipping and
yeah, because it's in Denver, which she didn't tell us when she contacted us.
Right.
And so she must have done a blanket shotgun
right.
out to see if anybody wanted it, and then it'd be shipped, and we're looking at $1,000 to ship it. It's like the district doesn't have that kind of money, nor do we. And
Yeah, that was when we thought it was here.
yeah,
So
that's
like,
what I
oh,
did. Or even if it was in Montana,
Right.
you could at least make arrangements. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And for a wheel, I mean, we probably could buy a pretty nice wheel for the same money. But
exactly.
So it kind of didn't pencil out, but those are some of the things that Kyle's doing a good job of relaying that to me, and then I kind of push it out and see who needs that. But we do that too for Kurt, the middle school.
Yeah, yeah, Kurt's in the elementary is when it comes up too.
Right. Yep. And so now Jeremiah, just so you know, Jeremiah's kind of taking the place of Krasky. So, and Krasky was looking at like scholarships and relationship with Northern that was already in place, and we've kind of reestablished. Hello, Heather.
Hello.
Hi, Heather.
Sorry, I did my Good Samaritan deed for the month.
No worries. We'll take.
One of them's a high school girlie stopped in the middle of the road on the way
Oh, geez.
here, and her car was dead. She had her black hazards on,
Oh,
and I
gosh.
just was driving around her. Oh.
No.
So, and I one of those booster packs, the little tiny ones, little dump yet.
Oh, good.
So I stopped and got her jumped and got her on the way.
Just part of the deal.
No, they also stopped and helped her.
No, I had jumped for her last week. With her situation, it's just the deal. It's the deal. I'm glad you did. So, but, you know, as we kind of then, Jeremiah and Lorraine knows this too. I think I mentioned you when I first was moving to Havre. The Egg Center kind of seemed like that was a big thing that was turning. And then as, you know, we discussed and we kind of looked at some, you know, land exchange opportunities right now, Kyle, where that kind of shook out, as you know, was that they're not moving forward.
Oh, we're not. Okay.
No, it just didn't really pencil out. It made a lot of sense from financials as well as that the relationship with the city right now. We just felt like it might be something for the future, but not right now. And
Right.
the other piece that really, when we looked at that land, when I sent that out to our lawyers and stuff, it didn't necessarily come favorable for building a full scale building on that lot.
Right.
As is, you know, just with, and that's some of the issues we see with them, like rebuilding the parking lots anyway, is the water and how that ground is. And so they were like, not necessarily thinking that would be a great build in that location.
Right.
And we do have additional land.
Yeah, there's that one parcel you got.
You know, so that other parcel in the future might be one that might be better suited for something like that. Then I talked about sending out the more information on the CNA, which we've done. We hit that in a pony post as well as then in the CSBD winter update that, hey, community, you know, we've heard your feedback and here's some of the adjustments we've made as a result of that. So that was good. And then Todd talked about the value of the committee and kind of where that's going to go in the future, which we just discussed about. Heather talked about CNA courses and wanting to just kind of look at what was available from courses that we're offering. One thing I can tell you that Northern has done, which I think is good, is they previously did not have like EMT courses and stuff available. So that's been now updated. So kids have that opportunity. And how that actually went down is my son was here over the summer from Carroll. And part of the requirement for like his pre-med was to get either a CNA or get into like EMT, right?
I don't think that was the CNA.
No,
like
but-
CNA courses, that was what the
Yes.
CNA that you.
Yeah, that's,
Yes, yeah.
that's what he's talking about.
But I'm just kind of talking
That's
about.
not what I was talking about.
Yes, yeah, no,
Yeah.
but from the other angle,
Yeah.
they've been trying to at Northern now, kind of a standard, when I brought them other ideas or opportunities, I've noticed they're now starting to kind of move forward with those. Because remember with that CNA, Heather, we looked at, there was all those interests in health, which, because we kind of thought when we started this community, it was going to be more CTE based, but we found when we did that CNA the surveys, that there was a lot of health occupations that our community said would be good to take advantage of. So I think we're seeing that kickback now with Northern where they're looking at more opportunities there, which is good. So, and then we kind of talked about the function of the board. Data suggests that we offer more opportunities for students in health sciences, BPA, dual credit, ag, mostly CTE. And Jeremiah, correct me, but with dual credit now, we're really, we're just charging.
Yeah, we got kids gonna graduate with associate's degrees and,
Yeah.
you know, whatever you want, essentially, we can give us.
Right.
Speaking from the parent perspective, I can tell you it's phenomenal because let's say it's gonna save us almost an entire year's worth of tuition for Lizzie.
Yeah, right.
So,
And it's gotten better since Lizzie,
yeah,
so.
that's what I'm saying, like, that's just with Lizzie alone, you know, because it wasn't like that for Lexi.
Right.
So is it not, so is it hard to get your teachers to get on board with doing it?
No,
Oh, okay,
not even remotely.
okay, so your staff's like, yeah, if we get the opportunity, we'll do it, okay.
And
But then when you talk about, it has to be a high school teacher that has to do it, can't be a college
we've got
professor.
kids going to campus right now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All kinds of different things.
Yeah.
We've got online courses, kids going on campus, some ag, some chemistry, some, you know, you name it, we'll make it work,
Okay,
so.
Yeah, and I'll add that down to the notes that the in-person feature has been added this year, which is really nice. So now they're actually going up to the campus, which I think is a nice extra component because now you have kids, besides the online portion, which is good, you have them starting to know and stuff, right? So there's more skin in the game.
Well, there are still online options, I think it takes psychology
Oh, yeah.
online still.
You've got oodles of online, if the kids can bring it, you take it.
and they said, you set it up so that they can get their welding certificates
Yep.
in the, okay, so Chuck and Jason are doing that with you, okay.
It's for two welding courses, plus we can schedule it in their senior year if they've already had welding 2 and welding 3
Okay,
through the high school, if we can get them to campus.
because Norman's got that certificate, and it's a year program.
Yeah, we're on board.
And then one of the components of that House Bill 252, Kyle, as you know, has been the Montana Advanced Opportunities. So with that STARS Act, that's the nice feature is we have so many students, and it's not just necessarily dual credit, dual enrollment, but if they can do, like you're saying, Jeremiah, work-based learning and receive a certificate, now we get additional funding based on the certificate.
We're already set up.
Yep.
So that money should come our way.
Yeah, so that's a really good,
That's a great.
it's a huge extra component for us. And Lorraine, just so you know too, if those students in the high school that receive a certificate or take the dual class, if they went to elementary school in Havre, elementary school district will get funding too. So, so the high school, like, let's say, what they currently have would be like $1,400. So a high school kid, when he graduates, brings in $800. But the elementary side, if they went to elementary school, K through 8 in any portion, would get 600.
Oh, that's
So
sweet.
that really becomes an advantage for the district. So that's kind of a nice piece. Was there anything that you all saw? Because that was one of our things where the foundation could assist in courses in this area. Is there a way that you all see, because that was one of our questions we kind of put down is, where could the foundation come in and assist with this?
The only way I can think of it, I can tell you, it's a time thing right now, is, you know, we're so low on numbers, we're building back up, we're so low on numbers, but would we want to look at, again, this would have to come from the board, and this would be something to be a long term, but do we want to look at trying to set up an endowed teacher program? Where we go out like they do at the college level and you get teachers that are endowed and they get their salary paid by money that's brought in for that topic. Now it's only a 1-year fix, but I mean, that's the only way that I can think you could increase your numbers without having an extra burden on the district. But I don't know how well that would work at the high school level. Unless you want to go into something super special like that BPA, that might help because then you get somebody that's an endowed teacher in business that can do it, then you can offer more courses that way.
Another thought that I was wondering, it might be something just for us to maybe think about for the future would be if we know we've had the ability to take the Montana Advanced Opportunity money and fund these classes for our kids. But if we got to a state, or Dustin and I've had conversations where we moved into a realm where we paid 75%, but parents had to pick up 25%. 25%. Do you think that's a piece maybe that the foundation could look at? That might be a window where there could be a certain amount of money for students who do that, that they could have. Or they couldn't afford the 25%, maybe those are the kids that get the scholarship.
No, I,
They only get all their bill card free for the time being.
Yeah, they get the 6 credits from Montana for free.
Uh-huh.
And then the opportunities grant right now, we're covering that, but we're going to end up at a spot where.
It's not there anymore. Yeah, because it used
Because
to
of how much we're doing.
be, they got their 6 and then it was $50 a credit afterwards, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then so we're covering that with
Yes.
that advanced opportunities grant. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
and no, that would be, if we put it together, we structured it the right way, I think you could go out to businesses and you could go out to foundations and you could go out to just alumni and say, we're doing this, look at the success we're having. As data driven as the district is, thanks to you and some others that are like that. I think that would be possible. But again, it's long term. I mean, it's something, if we're gonna go do it, we want to make sure we have a rock solid presentation to go out and do, but it's something that I definitely think could be done, yes.
What do you think, Lorraine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
To me, that's the lowest hanging fruit. It really is, because we will run out of that opportunities.
Yeah, because right now, that's the thing that I see is you've done such a good job. Now there'll be so many kids taking advantage of that. That's where then all of a sudden that need might be from the foundation board would be too fun. You know, because you could have X amount of kids on scholarship that maybe their families couldn't afford that 25% fee. As we move into when kids take so many classes, then, you know, and I don't even know what the threshold of kids might be, Kyle. I don't know if it'd be much, but at the same time, that might be a nice offer.
Yeah, the only issue I can see with it is it could make a lot of work for Moses. In the sense that I could see it going out, but then we go to a particular donor, good donors say, we only want this to go to help pay for ag classes, and we only want this to go to pay for math classes. And so I don't know how much work that puts on Moses, because okay, the money's brought in, but now it's restricted because they only wanted to pay for kids that are taking these
I
classes.
think that's hard on Moses, I think it's hard on you guys.
Not really,
Because all earmark money, all Moses is gonna do is take whatever you give them over it.
okay, I just didn't know with his bookkeeping, how hard that is for him to set up additional accounts and things like that. No, that's not hard for us, because it's literally, okay, here's the way, this is all, we keep track of this, but earmark revenue receipts, give it to Moses and say, this only can be used for ag education.
Yeah, and that's easy on our end to keep track of.
I mean, that's the other thing, too, is it at a point where you gotta look at getting a second ag teacher in Havre right now, so as much as that's exploded.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
how many kids?
We are now offering 1 class a day at the middle school, so we can even expand more. So she's well under that, 50 kids, it should be. So we still got room for it.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of times, Kyle, what we ended up doing when I was at Stevensville was then we got like an aid assistant as the program developed. So you didn't necessarily need another full-time teacher,
Right.
but the assistant could kind of help with numbers when they go to all the events, right? And so then there was kind of a need from that standpoint, and they got paid, you know, a stipend to just help with that. You didn't have to have like a full-time teacher. So as our program expands and we do like we just did, Heather was on that with the extracurricular review team, you know, that might be in the future where a couple of years from now, where we bring in a new stipend like we did for assistant middle school track,
Right.
you know, and so you kind of move it in that way, but
That's the thought. Well, the other thought is too, if you want to build a partnership at the university level, is tap into using Darren Voss and his staff at the experiment station, especially since Darren's the head of all the experiment stations in the state of Montana.
But that's, I think, beyond the scope of the foundation.
Right, but yeah, no, other than making the connections, but I think every one of us here has a connection with Darren already, so I don't think that needs to be, where would be with us is make the introduction, let you guys do the work, but make the introduction, but I think everybody here knows Darren, so. Maybe you met Darren?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
Oh, does she? Okay.
So if we take a look at, you know, in terms of goals and shifting, do we think that maybe one of those goals could be with how we've seen that explosion happen in the high school between dual credit and work-based learning? Could that be one that we would articulate, do you think, could help with additional funds that, you know, our parents aren't picking up?
Good.
Because to me, like you, Jeremiah, like you're saying, I feel like that's a low hanging fruit. It would be a perfect, it kind of fits the scope of what the committee and ultimately what the foundation's about.
Yeah, the foundation originally was for that, getting kids into the higher ed setting. Well, this is doing it earlier than, when this committee was created, there was never the vision that that could happen.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's kind of the home run. So we'll put that down as one then, is looking at, what, that later. And then like number 3, funding with internships, co-op opportunities, perfect. Is there some other funding opportunities that maybe Heather and Jeremiah see?
I know we talked about that.
The foundation could,
I'll send you, I've been so busy at work, I forgot to send you, I'll send you the Stockman Bank contact I've got for their foundation. Because they're looking to do something and.
Sorry, I could.
No, that's, that they want to do, Stockman wants to do stuff with education. And so, and she basically told me if it's education related, usually they pass it without any issue. Now, are you gonna get the whole amount you want? No, but at least you can start conversations about what do you think would be legitimate with that.
5 hard hats for kids, 5 hard hats.
Exactly.
It's fine, I didn't have to buy.
I'd like
They're
to
not
exist.
Exactly with money that doesn't work.
Right. So maybe we could put down as the single kind of equipment.
Well, honestly, even to just the connections and making sure that, we are aware of the opportunities that are out there, because like there are grants and stuff available. The foundation, they deal with that all the time, knows that. Some of us that don't.
Right. The issue we have is being the staffing with no executive director. It's hard for us to try to keep we all try to keep eyes on it, but we don't have somebody who can just dedicate themselves to spending 8 hours a day looking at grant opportunities that to come through. I mean, a lot of what I get is USDA because that's what I get it at work. And I think that funding is going to go away real quick.
Funding for equipment,
Well, I don't want.
letting us know when there's grant opportunities available that we might not have been aware of.
Right. Well, I think infrastructure, I mean, we've talked about trying to, if we need to look at doing it, I mean, and we're not at a place yet, and this would take some work, but doing a capital campaign for infrastructure. We talk about, I mean, we're 4 years into that track repave. I mean, another 4 years, we're gonna have to go repave that track again. So that's got that issue. And I know it's, since Murph was here, it's been, and then again, I'm just on stuff that the public sees, but redoing the football field and recrowning the football field and getting that open. So I mean, there's just a bunch of projects that the district doesn't have money for, but those would be capital campaign things we could work on, but it would be picking one, let's get it accomplished, go to number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, the slides for the Lincoln McKinley playground equipment, it took us 2.5 years to get the money raised for that, but we got it, but it took us 2.5 years. So, but I agree with you with equipment, things like that.
So we have the first goal, which is pretty specific, right? Because now we're drilling down to dual credit and work. And I like that because I think that's one that's pretty legit, you know, we can get traction on. We had to choose a second goal. What would be a specific?
Well, I threw the idea out to Brian, and we need to have more discussion, but why are we not using farm to table at the high school and then in the district? We've got a USDA processing plant here. Why are we not getting done? I mean, and again, this is where Rachel needs to be involved in the discussion, but why are we not getting donations, trying to build a relationship, see if Montana Farmers Union, since they own the plant, basically, well, the producers on it, but MFU started it, see if MFU would pick up the processing costs. If people will donate beef that we get processed and then we can use it in the district, because a lot of districts across the state are using donated animals, and if not here, there's a place down in the Paradise Valley that does that for charity, for schools and for food banks, and does the processing for producers. You know, because I know when Sarah Lynn and I wrote that grant for the greenhouse, long term, one of her goals was to be able to hopefully get it expanded out big enough where you could start providing produce for the school district to use for different meals and things. And that was real long term, because you'd have to have a huge greenhouse complex.
And then the growth through the summer would be the big thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's a thought I threw up to Brian, is why are we not looking at trying to do this? And I realize freezer space plays a role, and then my other thought was then it's like, well, is it logistically possible? I'm like, well, what if we even did it and just started with support Fridays? When it's a small, it's a smaller group of kids, we could test it, pilot it that way. If it works, then really go out full bore and try to see if we can get a bunch of cattle donated and things like that. But it's a lot of parts where we gotta make connections with people first.
Kind of like you said, Cal, I think that's a good, like, maybe long-term is the steps that it would take to get there.
Right.
But probably coming out of the gate for us now.
No.
Articulating kind of those next ones. Maybe another goal that would be relevant that we could see shoring up this spring. That way, then kind of the end game with this is too, is then when the Education Foundation presents at the April board meeting, kind of they give a wrap up, then we're going to have articulated kind of our 3 driving goals.
Right.
And then I'll give a report to the foundation of, yes, that's where our staff, our committee feels is good. The board feels good about supporting that. So as we go into 25, 26, here's the areas that we're going to look at from that committee and making sure that we.
Well, maybe that second one would be more along the lines of that minor equipment kind of stuff, like those classroom grant kind of things. That got a lot of stuff into classrooms that. And I was thinking what do they call those wiggly chairs that kids have?
Oh, yeah, the
You know,
rockers or the wobble stool or
Yeah,
whatever.
Yes.
Those have been a big difference for a pretty good chunk of kids, and that all started from the foundation getting on board with what most kids need.
Nice.
Because those, by and large, we're not funded out of our budget. Grant, right? But that's a huge piece of it, for 60 kids in the district that get the opportunity to
Yes.
use that.
Yeah. But that is.
And I think they started with some grants and stuff too for the smart board TVs. We had a couple of elementary schools before we kind of went with them. Then
Well, and you talk about equipment. Collins come to us and said, we need money for new instruments, and we have a fight at the board table about that because we have board members that strongly feel it's not our responsibility to be funding for new instruments. That is budgeted by the district to budget for repair and for new instruments, right?
Until I'll get a $12,000 too.
Yeah, exactly.
There with the entire band budget for the year.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, right. The tuba. I don't.
Because we've had it kicked around, we gotta circle back to the conversation, and Brian's been involved, we had it, but Matt's also talked to us about working with them to try it. So we're like, well, let's put one fundraising effort together for the arts, because Matt needs the money to help pay for the after school program, which has been very successful in the district for the kids. And then if Colin needs it or Mrs. Stoll or the middle school folks need the money for whatever they need it for, let's maybe put together an arts initiative.
Yeah.
But you can do that under an equipment in arts or whatever. And that would just be a long term, that it's nothing that we go out and make a specific push for. It's here's an option, here's what we're funding with it.
Yeah.
If you'd like to donate, let us know, and that's where we'll put it.
Yeah.
So that could just be an ongoing rolling. And then if there's a specific project that comes up, then the board can say, okay, here's a specific project, because that's a whole different task.
Right. Maybe that's that version, was to identify a 5-year project. The first two, which is the assisting with more opportunities, with the scholarships, dual credit, dual enrollment, finding opportunities for equipment, minor equipment, and then the third thing could be, identifying a project for a 3 to 5 year capital campaign.
I like that idea.
Yeah. Heather, what do you think about that one? Okay. I like it too.
And that project has to come from the board or from, your input, it has to come from the board to us to say, here's what we want you, because I don't have a clue. I mean, I can think of a lot of things you do capital campaigns for, but I don't know specifically what really needs to be done.
Yeah. Then that would be, I think, to go back to that facility, we done that a couple of years ago. See what's out there.
Because a lot of work you got done with the cost.
We did.
Yeah. Valid emergency notification system, is working phenomenally.
It was 3 clicks this morning to change our bells.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Did you start later? Yeah. Yeah, ours, it's no time at all, if you have the scheduled bell, it's so easy, and that old system was such a pain to have to change.
And then you'd have to call for help because it wouldn't update.
So this made your lives a lot easier and more efficient.
Way more efficient, way safer for the kids too.
Yeah, no, it has been
Sometimes
absolutely.
you get a notification instantly too, and anywhere in the district, and you can call and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Super nice, which, as you know, like right now in the land of frozen tundra, it is what it is right now.
Nutty.
It's nutty. Lorraine, you guys never told me it's a cold in Havre.
I know.
I know, it hasn't reached down.
Like, mosquitoes in the hole, the top of them snuck with me.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but I live here. She goes, yeah, but mosquitoes in the hole. I said, but I have to outweigh the mosquitoes in the hole, right? So don't let them do that.
We spray for mosquitoes.
That's right.
It's
That's
so
right.
bad right now.
I
I'm
know.
so mad at everybody driving by that poor little girl today.
The low hanging fruit on the capital campaign, when you and Scott had the discussions about it, and you brought it up at board meetings, is I wonder if the whole electric bus thing isn't a low hanging fruit for a capital campaign.
Well, we put in that, grant application, and Scott and I are gonna see if we get 2 more.
Right.
So we did put that in, Scott, Woody and I, and, so.
Two more.
For 2 more electric
Oh,
buses, so.
perfect. I missed
So we'll
that
see
part.
if that, comes to fruition, and then we're gonna kick out the oldest 2 diesels,
Mhm.
get rid of those and bring those 2 into the fleet, and then, we'll have that opportunity again. So I think that's a good one, but I think as we kind of pick through with the committee, we could start to kind of identify
Yeah.
what maybe that might look like. But I think if we feel good with this, then next time when we meet next month, we'll go through the action plans there to kind of articulate that. So we've got foundation coming up with scholarships, and in this case, we kind of IE'd for this upcoming year.
Scholarship for the dual credit.
Right.
Not our, we need to build our scholarships too. Yes.
Yep,
Fine.
but dual credit and work-based. Then we said minor equipment for the classrooms, and that's a K-12 effort, which we feel good about. And then the third one would be identifying a project for a 3 to 5 year capital campaign. And then we kind of drill down. And
Yeah.
figure out what would that look like? It would be good, because I think that's where that initial push, it was great to kind of see that egg center, but we didn't even have figured out kind of where we were at. So I like where we're at now, when we're gonna have some goals and moving forward with all these little pieces. And then, like you're saying, Jeremiah, wrap back around to say, if we were to do something like that, that's a large scale project that's gonna take years of putting the pieces in.
Right.
Because now you gotta involve also your community and that's how you, I think, eventually get to that large scale, super awesome thing that you build into the district, but it's a process, right? It's a step through, so, I like that.
Well, the thing with capital campaigns that people don't realize is you do most of the work behind the scenes. Because you don't ever go public with a capital campaign until you get 75% of the money in the bank. And then you go out to the public to raise the last 25%.
Yeah. Right, yeah, a lot of work that's done up front first.
Yep.
Makes sense.
That's why they take a while.
Right, yes. Lorraine, how does that sound to you? Does that make sense on some good goals that we can then articulate in March? And then Kyle, we can kind of relay these back because we'll, next.
Well, tomorrow we meet tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
We could actually relay
We
this
can-
back
we
to
can-
initial discussion.
We
wise
can hash
tomorrow.
that, and then we'll have the action plans ready by the time that we close out the year.
Yep.
For where we're going with this, so I like that. Okay, Heather, are we
Sounds great.
good? Okay. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you.